everyone. Welcome to Winged Paper Crafting. My name is Angel Fitch. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad you've all decided to stop by my YouTube channel. Today we're going to do our 8th and final set, yay, of the August 2025 paper pumpkin kit called Farmhouse Florals. And here are the 9 cards that you could have made if you had done them as intended. And like I said, we're going to do our last set of alternatives. I'm so glad to get this kit finished and be able to move on to something else. So, we're going to start with an easy one, because, you know, everybody needs an easy button every once in a while. So, I have got a white card base that's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and we're going to give this a good burnish. Piece of white for the inside that's 4 by 5 1/4. I have another piece of white that is cut from the perennial postage dies, and I used the largest die that's in here. So here's the set, and I used this very outside one here. So you could use any, you know, nested square that you have that's pretty large, if you don't happen to have that set. But I love the postage looking border that it makes on these. So we've got this piece that we're going to put in the middle here. But before we do that, we're going to build up our outside here. Actually, no, I think we'll put this down first. Hang on, my brain's not awake yet this morning. Alright, so let's just put this down first. And then we'll build our typewriter scene on top of it. So, let's see, something kind of like that. Looks pretty good. Okay, now, I've got typewriter that came in the kit and some flowers that were in the kit, and we're going to stamp first on our little piece of typewriter paper that goes in the typewriter. And we're going to stamp in Lost Lagoon. Move our flowers out of the way there. And on this little piece of typewriter paper, I'm going to put the thank you stamp that came in the stamp set. So let's just ink that up. I love this color, Lost Lagoon, but it's so light on the stamp, you often wonder if you've actually picked up enough ink. So, I'm going to kind of line that up so I can start with it semi-straight. Now put this stamp closer to the top of the paper, of the little piece of paper, so that we can make sure it still shows when we get it down inside the typewriter. There we go. So we'll put that down in there. And then on the inside, we're going to do this sentiment that came in the stamp set too. It says, "Thank you for your constant friendship and listening ear." So we will get this on a block and ink it up. And we'll line that up on the glass mat. And I'll put that one down, just like that. Okay, I'll put the ink away. And let's go ahead and get our inside piece in here, so we can move on to the fun on the outside. Okay, so there's that. So far, so good. I'm going to put our little thank you down inside the typewriter, so it's going to kind of sit just like that. And then we've got our little flower bits here. Get our blocks out of the way. Let's see, what do we want to do? I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals, and I'm going to use these minis because at the moment it's kind of what I've got, and I have a bazillion of them, it seems like, because I hardly ever use them. Now, I'm making sure that I put one of these dimensionals right in the back of where that piece of typewriter paper is going to go, so that it kind of hangs on to it. because you don't want your paper, the little piece of paper, like, you know, having a mind of its own during shipping. Because if you mail this, you would want this to still be there when it gets to its destination. So kind of I'm just going to position that where I want it on the front. And then make sure that it's hitting just barely the top of these dimensionals. And that way it'll keep that in place. Okay, now we're going to pop this up in the middle of our card. Trying to center this so somewhere just kind of like that. And then we're going to take our flowers, and I think we're going to put the orange, or the peachy looking ones down here near the typewriter. So let's see, there's two that are a double set, so I thought we'd put those on the edges here like that. And I think we'll put those down flat. Still going to use some liquid glue so that we have a little wiggle room to get these positioned where we want them. So not much, just a little. I'm just going to tuck this right behind that edge of that typewriter. So like that. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. We'll get it down right there. Okay, now these I want to pop up. So I'll just put a couple of baby dimensionals here on the back of those. Guess I've got. Okay, so we'll get one down here and another one down here. And we'll pop the backs off of those. And we're going to get these right here. So we're just kind of building this around our typewriter. Okay, so we've got that. Looks like we got some glue over here. Try to wipe that away. Okay, now I'm going to take these yellow ones and glue those. So just a little dot of glue. I don't know why I'm always so heavy-handed with this liquid glue. I have to learn not to squeeze so hard, because then I get it everywhere and it sticks to my fingers. Okay, so I'm going to just tuck these yellow ones right back here under that peachy one that's up there. And then we'll put this one right under here. Actually, I'm going to turn this one around and put it this way. There we go. I'll kind of move those so they're kind of in the center there. Something is going to use this to just help me guide that where I want it. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so there's that. Now all we need is some bling. So I'm going to use these 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. I'm going to use this one right here in the middle. These peachy looking ones. Whoops. Let's see. So we're going to do, let's put one up here. And we'll do another one. Okay. Down here. And then a baby one. Let's see, we'll do it over here this time. Okay, so there's our first card. Pretty simple, but very nice. Okay, now our second one. A little more involved. Now this is going to be our last one for this kit. So we've got a piece of petal pink, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Give it a good burnish. White piece for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4. And I've got a piece of another piece of petal pink that's cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to stamp on this. So, not that one. Let's see. Hang on, I need my blocks. Let me get this big block wiped off because it's got some Lost Lagoon ink on it, and we don't want Lost Lagoon on this. We are going to stamp in some Cajun Craze. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, this was like a stamp that was in the set. It just looks like little dots or flowers or berries or something. Not overly sure what it is supposed to be, but it's cute. Probably flowers, since we're doing Farmhouse Florals. Okay, and we're just going to take this and we're just going to ink this up. And I'm just going to kind of make our own pattern paper. So basically what I want to do is, I need a piece of scratch paper. Hold on just 1 second here. Let me grab. I always have, that's not one. That's something I want to keep. We don't want to do that. I have a pile of paper over here that whenever I print something on my printer that, you know, I don't like, I keep the paper so that we can use it for scratch paper. So here's a piece. So I'm going to end up stamping off of the sides, and that's why I wanted the scratch paper. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to start right up here in the corner. Now I'm going off the top edge and off of this left edge. And we're just going to kind of make this pattern all down this paper. It looks like I got ink on there. Now, this is what I did. I went all the way down, and then I went over here and tried, you know, lined it up the best I could, and did on this side. I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing because that would be very boring, but at least you know how this works. So I've already done one, so we didn't have to do the whole thing today. And I want you to look at this. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have to be, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect because on our card, we're going to cover the majority of it up. So I've got this arch that I took from the Garden Meadow set. And this is an older set, but I don't have the current arches, but they're on my wish list. But this is good because I've got this one. So use what you have, you know. We bought it for a reason. So here's this piece that it looks like I've got ink on already, which is not good. And let me see if I can take my sand eraser and just get that off real quick. It must have been on my finger. But that's okay. We can get rid of it real quick. Okay. All gone. Okay, so we're going to cover most of this up. And so once you put that down there, you really can't tell that it was so imperfect. But that's okay. You don't have to do it perfect. That's what makes it homemade, right? Okay, we're going to get this block out of the way before we have any more ink disasters. But while we've got the ink open, let's go ahead and stamp on what we're going to stamp. So I'm going to stamp on the front of this bag here. And we're going to use the stamp that was in the set that says, "For a Great Friend." So we're going to ink this up in our Cajun Craze. And I just want to, I'm going to put this down here in the bottom half of this bag. Just like that. So, "For a Great Friend." And on the inside then, we're going to put another stamp that was on the in the stamp set that came in the kit that says, what does it say? "Good friends are hard to find. I'm so glad we found each other." So I put that on the glass mat there. Let's wipe off our excessive ink that we have on our block. I always just keep paper towel handy because if you're like me and you go to try to stamp, you get ink everywhere. Okay, so we'll pick this up. And we'll ink this up. I'm just going to put this one right at the top here. There we go. Alright, let's put the ink away. And let me check my hands, make sure I don't have any more on me. Okay. Let's put our card together. So, we're going to put this on the inside. So let's start there. So we'll go center that. Okay, now we're going to take this piece, and I've got a piece of petal pink ribbon that I had in my stash, and I want to put that basically around the middle of our little stamped piece here. So I'm going to take some tear and tape, and we're going to put this down. So I'm just going to put a couple pieces here that we can use in a minute. And so I need 4 pieces in total. Okay, so we're going to put one of these down, basically middle of the card, top to bottom. Another piece on this side. And give that a good burnish. If you give it a good burnish, then see how you can get the back off of it. Where's my take the pick tool? I lost it. Okay, so I'm just going to take the back off of these. Okay, now we're going to lay our ribbon right on this side and wind it around to the other side, trying to keep it straight. Uh-oh. We don't want our tape to stick to me. Okay, so I've got this side down. Let's see how straight we are here. We'll just wrap that around this side. Okay. Now, these other 2 pieces we're going to use to secure this again to make sure that it stays where we want it to stay, because we don't want it running away on us. Okay, so I'm going to take the backs off of this, and then I'm going to use tape runner to put adhesive on the rest of our piece here, and we'll get this down on our card front. So, like, centered as best as possible, so like that. Now, see how this is kind of droopy? I don't know what kind of word to use for it. I'm going to take a glue dot, a mini glue dot, and kind of take your pick tool and roll one of these off of here. Okay, and then I'm going to take it and stick it right under here so we can secure the middle of that down. Oh, hang on, the glue dot stuck to the... There we go. So we'll go ahead and just give that one more little piece of adherence there so we can make sure it stays in place. Now, our arch piece here. I was looking for words. My words are not coming today. All right. Thank goodness. Not enough caffeine yet this morning, I think. The brain is not awake. All right. So we're going to put this down right over all of that. Okay. Now we're going to build up our little purse here. So we've got... We're going to put it down flat. We've got a lot of bulk because of our ribbons, so I'm not going to pop anything, I don't think, up on the rest of this because we don't want it to get so thick that it would be hard to mail, because that would be not good. So we're going to take our little extra purse handle here, bag handle, whatever you want to call this. All right, let's get some... Woo! That was entirely too much glue. We'll try to spread that around because we don't want that oozing and goozing all over our card. Okay, I'm going to take this one and put it upright like this. Kind of just slip that down there. Just like that. Okay, now our flowers. We've got flowers that were in the kit. I've got a couple of peach ones left and a couple of yellow ones. And I thought there was one more peach one. Where did it run off to? Okay, here it is. I knew we had another one. Okay, we're going to put these in the corners here of our card. So basically we're going to put the yellow ones down first. So let's just get them all turned over, and we'll just put glue on all of them at once. And maybe I can not squeeze so hard. There we go. That's much better. Just a little dot right in the middle is basically all you need. Unlike me sometimes, who just gets overzealous with the glue. Okay. So we're going to take our yellow ones. Let me get back up here where you guys can see. I'm going to put those here. And the other yellow ones are going to go in our bottom corner down here. Okay. And then we're going to take our peach one and put right there. And this one right there. There we go. Whoops. Stick to the card, not to me. I have glue on my finger. It wants to stick to me. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right. All we need is some bling. And I've got some antique pearls that I thought we could use on this one. So let's go ahead and get a couple of these, off of here. Let's see. Let's put some up here because it's kind of, stark up there. I'll put another one here. And we'll put a tiny one down here. And there we go. So cute. I really enjoyed this kit. It was, even though a lot of them were simple, it was a lot of fun to work with. So there's our 2 for today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I really appreciate your guys' support. And stay tuned for my next video. We're going to have some more paper pumpkin coming. We're going to move on to September. And we're going to have our Template Tuesday series that's going to start this coming Tuesday. And then Fun Fold Friday. So make sure you stick around. And have a crafty day. I will see you all later. Bye.